Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. My name is Brandon Drum. I'm here with Parker Thune. And Parker, we have a special guest that I'm going to let you introduce.
That we do. But first, I want to remind everybody listening that this episode of the OU Insider Under the Visor podcast is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped. This season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes with the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Clear out that winter bush with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and watch your confidence bloom like the springtime flowers. Embrace the season and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our special offer. Now, after using Manscaped, I can finally say I've caught the spring fever. Introducing the season's champ, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This fifth-generation trimmer features two interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, and it also features dual LED spotlights to guide you through the darkest winter debris. Navigate with confidence in your delicate areas. I love this thing because it comes with a compact case. You can take it with you wherever you go. And spring cleaning doesn't just apply to the nether regions. Get the full grooming experience with Manscaped's signature Beard Hedger Pro Kit and Handyman Electric Face Shaver. Whether you're looking to craft your signature look or clean up that neckline, these are always the right tools for the job. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code OU Insider at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code OU Insider at manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants. And folks, for the last few weeks, you've heard Brandon and I encourage you to download the Autograph app. And many of you have asked the question, well, what is the Autograph app? We've done our best to explain it to you and explain what benefits it offers to members of the Oklahoma community. But we decided, you know what, there's probably an individual that's far more qualified to explain all the benefits and perks of the Autograph app to all of you out there. So we welcome to the show Russell Paulson, the head of community for Autograph. Russell, thanks so much for the time today. And if you could just kind of give people the 30,000-foot overview, what is Autograph? Why do you need to download it?
Awesome. Good morning, fellas. Parker, thanks for the intro and beautiful ad read, I might add. Very well done.
Thank you. I take great pride in those.
I'm too immature to do it, just so you know. Like, we tried it and I could not get through with that
so
giggling.
Just live and it's beautiful. Yeah, thanks for having me on, fellas. Yeah, my name is Russell. I'm here at Autograph. Company is about 3 years old, co-founded by the legend himself, Tom Brady. And quite simply put, we are in the business of rewarding fans. And so in the fall of last year, we created an app for your mobile phone, which is also now available on Android. So iPhone and Android. And the entire idea is, you can think about it, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of either airline rewards programs or credit card points programs. But we realized that there had never really been one that was specifically focused on the daily acts of fandom that people do that kind of go unrecognized, whether that's listening to this show, whether that's catching up with the latest news in the portal, or even just reading the box score, whatever it might be. Nobody gets rewarded or recognized for that, really, but that is a true expression of fandom and devotion to a team like the Sooners. And so we wanted to create a place that sort of aggregated, tracked, and rewarded all of those actions that fans can take. So the Autograph app, essentially what it does is it takes all of the top content creators within the Oklahoma community, brings them all on one feed to make it an easy one-stop shop for people to get all of that content and stay up to date and engaged with it. And then each time someone takes an act of fandom, such as listening to the show, reading a blog, watching a YouTube video, whatever it might be, they earn what we call fan coins. And as you accumulate more coins through each act that you take on the app, you level up on the Oklahoma leaderboard. Those coins unlock things like rewards to tickets to, so far this year, we've done basketball games. Not too happy about the selection committee. We'll ignore that for now. We've done softball, thanks to your recommendation, Parker. And then, of course, what we're really looking forward to do and how we started is gearing up for the football season, which I know spring practice is now underway, and it's pretty much a 365 thing anyways. So that's the broad overview, and happy to dive in a little bit deeper should you guys have any more questions.
Go for it, Parker.
Oh, well, I was just gonna. I think you kind of already touched on it there, but some of the benefits that people can get when they download the app and interact are those ticket giveaways. Well, not giveaways, but obviously you get heavily discounted prices on you
It
guys' college
feels like a
basketball
giveaway.
tickets. It does kind
Yeah.
of feel like a giveaway, especially for softball, because softball tickets can be hard to come by. But looking ahead, beyond basketball and softball season, what are the plans that you guys have for, especially when football season rolls around, obviously, because that's what people are going to pay attention the most to? What are some of the plans that you guys have to enhance the fan experience on the Autograph app?
I think the best way to illustrate it would be talking about how we started, which was strictly with the University of Michigan in the fall. We started there, obviously, because our co-founder Tom went there and played there, and we have some good relationships with that community and that university. Some of the things that we did when we launched with them, we had private player signings with JJ McCarthy. We sent people to the Rose Bowl for essentially 2-for-1 pricing. I think tickets were like 800 a head, and we had a handful of pairs in the app going for 500. We sent fans to the national championship. And then we did a lot of other fun NIL initiatives too, in terms of exclusive merchandise, some apparel, some things to raise money for the NIL program, and obviously for the players themselves. So it's kind of like a multifaceted approach. Not only were these Michigan fans being, sort of ranked and rewarded for their fandom, which they loved, not only having everything in one place so that they don't have to switch in and out of apps, but they liked the leaderboard aspect, and then they liked competing for the fun rewards, which really kind of ran the gamut, like I said, from like player experiences either in person or maybe a private call on Zoom, to some of the more like signed or unique memorabilia from current or past players. And then, of course, game experiences, which everybody loves. So we'll be looking forward to replicating that come football season too.
So, is it just college exclusive, or are you guys going to roll over into the NFL, do that type of stuff with them as well? Like, what's that going to look like for you guys? I mean, I don't know if that's in the cards for y'all 100%, but what do you guys do as far as NFL, NBA, all that type of stuff? Because there's a
Yeah,
lot of those fans too out there, particularly in Oklahoma with NBA.
100%. I think I just saw that Drake bought out Shay, and you guys did something pretty cool at his concert the other night or two,
Yeah.
giving him some MVP love. But yes, we definitely have plans to expand. I think there's a delicate balance between wanting to expand and kind of, hit all of the markets and service as many fans as possible, versus
Mhm.
also making sure that you're delivering a product that is true to the values that you wish to aspire to and the experience that you want to deliver. So for now, we're sticking with college. Like I said, it for the first 3 or 4 months we launched, it was just Michigan because we wanted to get it right. We wanted to make sure that we had a great product so that when we brought it to a fan base in a community like Oklahoma, we knew we had something good that the fans actually appreciated. We have since expanded to, I think we have over 60 communities in the app now,
Oh, wow.
and they're pretty much all college based. We have done some little sort of like private test trials with some other things, but that is our focus for now. And we're really looking forward to being much more robust and in a good place come the college football season. But I will say, stay tuned for some other leagues, because the way we think about this is fandom. You can be a fan of almost anything, and we want to,
Mhm.
be a part of rewarding people for that.
That's
Last
awesome.
question.
So that, are you hinting like musicians, stuff like that, like down the road? Is that kind of what you're hinting at?
No comment, but
Gotcha.
it would make
Gotcha.
a lot of sense to
Gotcha.
me. Yeah.
Oh
Gotcha.
man. Well, last question for you, Russ, and then we'll let you get back to your day. But I think a common question or a common thought that a lot of fans are going to have is, okay, you're going to give me rewards just for being a fan, just for downloading a free app. That can't be all there is to it. Are you going to fill my inbox with junk mail? Are you going to sell my information to the Russians? What am I not seeing here?
I do write one email. It goes out every Monday. I hope people enjoy reading it. I try not to take too many liberties. But no, man, look, that's really our intention. I mean, the one thing that Tom wanted to do is build a deeper connection with fans in retirement and also tell stories. And there are so many stories being told and covered about everything that happens on the field and with the players, and you guys excel at that. And what we want to do is simply support and sort of amplify and bring that to more voices and more of an audience. And we're focused on telling the story and celebrating the fan. All the crazy traditions, all the history, all the stories behind that. And we have just felt that there has just been a huge lack in rewards and appreciation for a lot of the stuff that fans do. I mean, you can go and you can get that emotional highs and lows from going or watching the game. You can get that adrenaline boost from hearing you just signed a new transfer or whatever it might be. But other than that, there's no tangible per se reward to it. And so we saw an opportunity to do it. Now, it's not like all the rewards are free, but we feel that they are going to be either at least exclusive or better price than you can find anywhere else. And like I said, it's just like, if I'm going to fly out to Oklahoma to have dinner with you guys, I might as well earn some points for it while I'm on the flight. And we feel it's the same way with being a fan. If you're going to listen to this podcast, why not get some points for it and see how you can level up on the Oklahoma leaderboard and see where your fandom can get you.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. I guess my last question would be Tom Brady. We're gonna start the new Dynasty on Apple. Me and my kids are today. Have you watched that yet?
I have not. I've seen clips. I haven't seen it all the way through. Yeah.
Okay. What's that dude like? What's the GOAT like? Off air.
Great question.
And that's hard for me to say the GOAT because I'm a Peyton Manning fan through and through, and Parker can vouch for that. Like, I'm a Bronco fan, bro. Like,
I feel you, bro.
Me so many times.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to see how he does in the booth as he steps into that next chapter in his life. But he really sort of, I've had the pleasure of meeting him twice in person, and he has really sort of blown me away and exceeded expectations in the sense that he looks you in the eye, he remembers your name, he actually takes the time to ask you a question that is meaningful. There's no blow off. He's just he kind of makes you feel like it's just you guys when you're having a conversation, despite whatever craziness can going around, because these were in larger public settings. So he is an extremely impressive individual, obviously. But having grown up in LA, you can kind of get disillusioned by celebrity, and they're not always as it's cracked up to be when you meet someone in person. Tom is the exact opposite of that, and he really cares about this product too and the fans. And so he's definitely checking in with us constantly to see how we're doing, to see how he can help. And it's been a pleasure working for him.
Awesome.
Boom.
Appreciate it.
There you go, folks. Russell Paulson, head of community at Autograph, the app co-founded by the greatest quarterback who ever lived, Tom Brady. It took me a long time to get there too, Brandon, because I wasn't the biggest Brady fan, but then, I'm a Bucks guy, and he signs with Tampa Bay, brings my team
there it is.
Long-awaited Super Bowl.
The admission.
Right off the bat. Year one won a Super Bowl. It became undeniable for me at that point. Russell, thanks so much for jumping on the podcast, man. Stoked for what you guys are doing over at Autograph. And by the way, folks, if you want to download the Autograph app, use the link.ag.fan/boomer and promo code.
We'll have it below.
We'll have it in the description. That may be easier, but if you're listening on the podcast medium, say you're driving, just remember that link.ag.fan/boomer, promo code boomer. Thanks again, Russell.
Pleasure having.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So that's Russell, folks. The Autograph app is outstanding. Would recommend. Go ahead, download it if you haven't already. But as we turn our attention back to ball, the prominent topic this week is, of course, the NCAA tournament snub. The Sooners kept out of the field of 68. The one day a year, Brandon, where 69 is not nice at all. And that's how it was on Sunday for Oklahoma.
Parker Thune.
They were team number 69. And that's the most agonizing place to be on Selection Sunday.
Well done with the innuendo. I like it. There you go, folks.
Channeling my inner Teddy Lehman.
Yes. Yeah, it was rough to watch. So I'm watching it in the hotel room in Tulsa after my kids 7-on-7. I was covering that DR7 Road to the Crown tournament up there, and we were watching it, and as I got to the final little, section, little division, part of the bracket, and I turned to my son. I was like, "They're not getting in. Like, if they aren't 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11, they're out." And once they showed 10, I said, "Dude, they're done. They're done." And then they kept going on, and you could just kind of see the air. You could feel the air in the state of Oklahoma just kind of just being sputtered out at that point. Everybody kind of getting mad, but there's a lot of the fan base at the same time is like, and they feel like I feel. You F around, you find out. And that's what Oklahoma did. You cannot turn the ball over the way they did. You cannot play the way they did in the Big 12 tournament. And granted, they were missing 3 starters. That is tough. Injuries are one thing, and they have really derailed this season for Porter Moser. Like, you can look back at a fully healthy roster for Oklahoma, 18-6. Weren't they like 2-8 or something stupid to that extent? And they won like how many games? They were awful in the last stretch, like last 8 games. So like they were like 2-6, something to that extent to get to 20, right? Like it was bad. It was, yeah, they were 2-6 to get to 20-12. It was awful. It was bad. The second Hughley went out, you saw a drop off.
Yeah.
And then Soares went out with Hughley, and there was a massive drop off. There is zero world where you can rely on Northweather and Godwin and feel like in the low post and feel like you're going to be able to succeed. You just can't do it.
Well,
Go ahead.
and here's what I would say. I would say there are a multiplicity of things that can be true simultaneously about
Correct.
this Oklahoma basketball season. A, they deserve to be in the tournament. I don't know why Virginia was in the field. I don't know why Michigan State was in the field. There were several other teams on the back end of that bubble that Oklahoma's resume was just as strong, if not stronger than. So,
Groves.
in an at-large sense, yes, they deserve to be in the tournament. But B, what can also be true, and what is also true, is that in the end, Oklahoma left too much to chance. And it was an astronomical sequence of events that had to come to fruition for the Sooners to end up on the outside of the 68-team field, because we had 5 bid thieves, Brandon. That had never happened before. If Temple doesn't hold off FAU at the buzzer, if New Mexico doesn't win the Mountain West outright on Sunday, if North Carolina State doesn't make that ridiculous run through the ACC tournament, winning 5 games in 5 days, if any one of those things, plus a zillion others over the course of the final few days of the season, if any one of those things don't happen, Oklahoma's in the tournament. But guess what? We sit here today and they're not in the tournament. So, yes, Oklahoma should have been in the field. Their resume was deserving, but they also left too much to chance. I also think another seemingly counterintuitive pair of facts can be simultaneously true. That being, A, Oklahoma all in all had a successful season relative to preseason expectations. They were projected to finish 12th out of 14 in the Big 12. They won 20 games in the toughest conference in basketball and were team number 69. Right? Relative to expectations, that's a successful year. But also, B, through 3 years of Porter Moser as Oklahoma men's basketball coach, the standard has not been upheld, Brandon. This is the first time ever in the 64-team era. Well, I guess we're at 68 now, but ever since the tournament field expanded to 64 teams back in the day, this is the first time in that era that Oklahoma has missed the tournament in 3 consecutive seasons. That's why folks are upset. That, among other things, have to do with the LNC. And look, that's a whole different can of worms, right? We could sit here and talk for hours about the large-scale things that you would like to see changed about Oklahoma basketball in order to better support the program and NIL and all of that. I'm sure we'll do a podcast on that at some point. But
Yeah.
in the here and now, again, the things that I think can be true at the same time are that A, they deserve to be in the field, and B, they left too much to chance. And then A, this was a successful campaign relative to expectations, and B, through 3 years, it still hadn't been good enough on the whole.
Yeah, and Porter Moser, I guess, he's going on right now. We're recording this. It's 11 a.m. And he says, right or wrong, the team looked at the bracket projections every single day since December 1st, and that Oklahoma was in the projection every single one of those. The first day they didn't see themselves in the bracket was on Selection Sunday. And I guess he's on a 6-minute rant right now and still ongoing, according to my Twitter feed, on all of what is going on at that presser. So that is, you can tell that there's a lot of, what do I want to say? There's a lot of
Angst.
yeah, vitriol would be a good word, but on top of that, I would say there's a lot of, I guess, PRing. They're going on like a PR tour, I guess, and they're holding a presser to try to explain away the NIT, deflection and decline and all that type of stuff. And I get it. I understand they're mad and that they don't want to do the NIT. And I'm assuming they did a team vote to come to that conclusion. It just wasn't Porter and the administration turning that down, because if that is really the case, yikes. I know that the NIT isn't the NCAA tournament, but if you're going into the SEC, would it not been probably in your best interest, since you're actually going to be healthy for the first time since early January, to at least play some games in the NIT tournament and see if you can't get some momentum heading into the 24-25 season?
And
mean,
it like I think that's nice in theory, but it's a hard thing to get your team to care about. And it's an almost impossible thing for you to get your fan base to care about, right? You go play in
you're
the
going to go play in the
NIT.
Garden, dude.
Yes, I understand that. But you're the 69th team on Selection Sunday. You were the first team out of the field. The fan base doesn't care anymore what happens in the NIT. They're going to be bummed and they're going to be pissed that you didn't make it in the field.
The crowd would be awful.
Yeah, exactly. The fans at that point are checked out. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not paying attention to whatever happens in this iteration of the basketball postseason. And furthermore, you got guys, and Porter Moser is saying it right now. We're following this live on Twitter. He is expressing this right now. Those guys are hurt. Those guys are upset. Those guys, they felt like they were a shoo-in. And I think a lot of folks felt like they were a shoo-in until the last 48 hours of Champ Week, where you started to see all that bid thievery. When you got guys that expected to be in the NCAA tournament, and then all of a sudden on Selection Sunday, they don't hear their name called.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to get those guys regrouped and legitimately invested in the pursuit of an NIT title, because what does an NIT title really mean? Is that something that these days anybody is going to bat an eye at?
No,
I couldn't tell you who won the NIT last year or the year before that or the year before that. I have no idea. Nobody pays attention to the NIT. It's just how it is. I don't hate the decision by Porter Moser and the Oklahoma basketball program not to compete, because it feels pointless.
Yeah. It's such a shame. It really is.
Here's some more of what Porter said. He used the word dumbfounded to describe his own feelings on the Sooners not making the field. Quoting, this is from our peer and colleague Tom Green, who's at the press conference. Porter said, "The system is flawed because you hear different reasons for why a team got in. Whatever it is, there's no consistency of why a team got in. There's always a reason that's shown to fit an answer that they give you. We had to overcome the craziest Saturday that I can remember. 5 bid stealers to sit there on the bracket show when every indication was that we were in and then we're not. The raw emotion in that room on Selection Sunday was so real. These unbelievable young men, the tears, the hugging each other, the anger, the range of emotions was raw.
And yet, as raw as those emotions are and as upset as they are, what are the odds that they stay? Like, what are the odds this roster looks anywhere similar than what it is now compared to next year? I think it's going to be fairly new to people.
There will be turnover.
And that right there is the biggest problem you have at Oklahoma, is that the fans cannot get to know any of these players. This is worse than the professional ranks at this point. Like, at least professional ball, you got SGA, who's going to be an 11-year guy in Oklahoma City when his contract's done. You're going to have Giddey 9 years if he doesn't get traded. You're going to have same thing with, Holmgren and J-Dub and all those guys. You can't even get 2 years out of these kids anymore because of the transfer portal. And when that starts to happen and you have a coach and a program that can't hold on to talent, do you not see the disconnect between the program and the fans at this point? It's getting further and further away, Parker, and not making the tournament makes it even worse, in my opinion. It adds to it. Go ahead.
Something else that I think is a contributing factor. I do not think, well, and this isn't even subjective, I think this is objectively true. Because even when Austin Reeves was here a couple of years back, he was not what anyone would have considered a superstar at that point. Oklahoma basketball hasn't had a superstar player since Trae Young. And I think what made Trae Young so engaging and what made him so easy for the fan base to connect with was not just that he was a superstar, but that he was a homegrown superstar, which obviously you can't count on having a guy like that show up in every single recruiting class.
Brandon Garrison.
But I do think, yes, we know he's in the portal. We know Oklahoma's going to be heavily involved there, but I think it's easier for the fan base to connect with their players when they feel like their players represent them. And it's hard for them to feel like that about a bunch of portal mercenaries. And that's not like, I don't think that's what any of these guys on Oklahoma's roster are right now, but I think that's the direction that college basketball is headed, especially now that the one-time transfer rule has been taken off the table and guys can transfer at will, essentially. Like we're going to get to the point in college basketball where an individual player spending 4 full years at one particular institution is a rarity.
Yeah.
It's going to be a white whale. And that's why I think a couple things are the case here. One, Oklahoma needs to make it a priority to recruit within state lines very strong. Like that needs to be the focus of their. If there is a dude in the state of Oklahoma that is capable of playing high-end Power 4 basketball and has superstar potential, you got to do everything in your power to get him to OU, man. Because I think about, and look, I love Lon Kruger to death. I don't know if I've ever enjoyed and respected a coach in any sport more than Lon Kruger amongst the guys that I've covered. But Lon Kruger's last recruiting class at Oklahoma, he took Bijan Cortez over Sean Padula. Bijan Cortez is at Wichita State right now. Haven't heard from him since he left Oklahoma after last season. Sean Padula is a stud in the ACC and one of the better players in that conference. It's a guy like that that can't get away, right? Trey Alexander from that same class, and not maybe that one was always going to be heavily NIL influenced. There's only so much you can do there, but I think even about a guy like Parker Friedrichsen last year from Bixby, who ends up going to Wake Forest and played a significant role for a team that came close to going to the NCAA tournament. They weren't one of the last 4 out, but they were definitely on the fainter side of the bubble on Selection Sunday. It's a guy like that you got to prioritize and do everything you can to get him to Norman, because if you want to revitalize fan interest, yes, winning helps. Winning will always help. But
Right.
you want to really bring a sense of adoration from the fan base to your program, you got to give them a guy that they can rally behind.
Dayton
Who's been that
Forsyth.
guy?
Dayton Forsyth could be.
Forsyth is like, and that to me, that
He
is
has every opportunity to be that guy here soon.
and here's where I'm going with this. I'll give Ryan Clinton credit because we were talking this morning in our OU Insider staff group chat, and he said, if you can keep Jalen Moore, convince Javian McCollum to come back, and plus those 2 freshman guys coming in, I feel there's a chance to be good with a couple portal additions. And I agree with that. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that one of those portal additions could be Brandon Garrison.
Mm-hmm.
And you're bringing in Dayton Forsyth. Dayton Forsyth is a stud.
He could be,
man.
yeah. So
excited for him.
He's as close to Steph Curry at the high school ranks as you can possibly get. Like anybody that's watched him shoot, anybody that's watched him play, their games are. And no, I'm not saying he's the next Steph Curry, so don't sit there and misconstrue what I'm saying and over exaggerate it. I'm saying at the college level, at OU, like when you're looking for a sharpshooter, a guy that is just going to be able to, he has amazing ball handles. He plays just like Steph Curry. Like his ball handling, the ability to shoot from half court in. And you want to know what he has that Steph doesn't have? Is he's explosive, man. He'll rise up and dunk on you too. And he's only what, 6'2", 6'3" at most. Like he is an absolute animal. He took Dell, Oklahoma up into all these big national tournaments, and they made deep runs in the semifinals and title against like big 6A national levels. Dell was ranked for a reason nationally. Like they are that good because of Dayton Forsyth. And if Dayton Forsyth played at Putnam City or Midwest City or Carl Albert or Norman North, he would have been a 5-star McDonald's All-American type of guy. But because he plays small town Oklahoma ball, he gets buried. I mean, I think you have to look at who was the dude from Verdigris back in the day that could just Rodney
Clark.
Rodney Clark. He reminds me a lot of that, except for he's got way more skill set, way more athletic, willing to play defense. Just a special talent. And I think Oklahoma fans are going to rally around him. They are going to rally around him. He is going to be that dude at Oklahoma. If you can add him and Brandon Garrison, and then you got Caden Cooper, 3 in-state dudes that you can rally around, that you can, that Oklahoma fans can sit there and say, those are our guys. They're not portal merchants. And yes, I get it. Garrison coming from the portal. But the fact of the matter is he stayed in state if he does choose Oklahoma in the end, because he went from Oklahoma State to OU. So I think when you look at that, and if you can somehow keep McCullough, Jalen Moore, and then add one, what's the dude's name? Brody was writing about him, the center that can shoot really good, floor spacing. Oh my gosh. He wrote about it on our board and said that if he can become a little bit more agile and a little bit more of a defender. Oh my God. I'll have to go to
Talking about Northweather?
No, not Northweather. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I'm gonna tell you who I'm talking about. I am talking about, oh my gosh. He has an African name.
He's at Oklahoma right now.
Yes.
Yaya Kita.
Yes. Yaya Kita. And they said something about him being more agile. Oh no, cool attack. I guess he's not at Oklahoma right now. I guess he needs to add 15, 20 pounds. He's got an NBA skill set,
cool
making
attack.
shots, all that. So you're going to get cool attack coming in. He may be your big man next year if they don't get one in the portal. So I just think
the thing with cool attack is, and I don't care how his name's actually pronounced. That is how.
No, it's going to be cool attack. I don't care if it's cool attack or Kalua attack. It's cool attack.
Yeah. The thing with that guy is he's 6'9", but he's also real skinny right now. So he's gonna have
Yeah.
to bulk up in a big way, eat a lot of PB.
Long R.
Yeah. And so, yeah, man, look, here's the thing. Again, it's a case of both these things can be true. And both these things are there are understandably some concerns about Porter Moser's roster retention.
Yeah.
But as we talked about last week on the podcast, while that is certainly partially on him, it's probably not entirely on him given the current state of collegiate athletics. But also, B, there's still plenty of stuff to be excited about with this team next year if they can bring some of the key pieces back and Dayton Forsyth and Cool Attack do pan out. Because I agree with you on Dayton Forsyth, man. He is he's got potential to be one of the best players Oklahoma's had in a long, long time.
Yes, he does.
And they're going to need that sharp shooting ability in the backcourt because I don't want to dump on Javian McCollum or make it seem like I'm devaluing what he is and was for Oklahoma this year. But I truly don't know whether Oklahoma has had a legit sharpshooter these last couple of years. They had one in Umoja Gibson for a couple seasons. Mo could spot up and he could knock it down from anywhere. Had one of the
last year's team with Gibson, they're in the NCAA tournament easily.
I probably agree with that. Of course, he decided to go to DePaul. Porter Moser didn't, but Mo bailed for DePaul. I think he averaged like 18 points up there.
Yes, he did. He was amazing.
They didn't win, obviously. But I think the Sooners. I think Gibson is probably the only guy since Trae Young that has been a legit sharpshooter in the backcourt for Oklahoma. And Dayton Forsyth can obviously be that guy. But my big thing with this team is if they do not shore up the front court, if they do not add another quality piece in the paint, I don't care how good that backcourt is, Brandon. I'm going to have the exact same concerns about this team next October that I've had for each of the last 3 Octobers. Can they win games inside when the shots aren't falling?
No, they can't. Right? Not this juncture. They can't. Now, I think Northweather has a chance to be a really good inside-out guy.
He's just slow, man. Like that
again. That's what I was getting at. He lumbers right now. I think he also looks like he just is starting to grow into his body, though, and I think that is important to note. But as far as Foresight goes, like, you want to know what's going to make. You want to know why these Oklahoma kids always become special at OU? They love the university. They grew up loving it. This is like their dream. They are fulfilling a dream. And when you wake up every day fulfilling a dream, it is what it is. I mean, you're going to be successful. You're going to succeed because you're doing what you love, where you love, and with the people that you love. So I think that is very important to note. That's why Trae Young was so special. David got both. Anybody remember him from Douglas back in the mid 2000s?
Vaguely, yes.
He was a late addition by Kelvin Sampson in one of the recruiting. I think it was 2005 recruiting class, and nobody really thought. I think he almost came in as a walk-on, to be honest, and he ended up getting a scholarship, and he ended up playing as a freshman because he was a defender and he loved, and he was averaging like 5 points. By the end of his career, he's averaging like 10 points, 11 points a game. And like, that's what I'm talking about. You love it. Blake Griffin loved it. I mean, you need those type of guys that just absolute Ryan Miner. You can't, one of the GOATs in Oklahoma history of basketball, Ryan Miner, loved it. Wayman Tisdale, RIP, both those guys. Alvin Adams, like, you go back and you look at, and I was talking to a coach elsewhere that has a deep connection to Oklahoma, and I'm going to read this to you. It's going to be I'm going to edit it a little bit because I don't want it so obvious, but here's the thing. And Oklahoma has to get back to locking the state down. 4 of the 6 guys in the rafters in Norman are Oklahomans. From this point on, there should be no excuse of letting players from the outside leave the state. And this was a coach that has been around Oklahoma. I'm not talking like the university, but been around Oklahoma, the state, for a long time. So I guess I really wouldn't give it away anyways. But they essentially said you can't let the guys of Brandon Garrison, David Castillo, like they can't be leaving the state. And obviously Garrison stayed in state, went to Oklahoma State, but they essentially said if Oklahoma wants to get back to where they need to be, they've got to start winning head-to-heads with Oklahoma State. You can't let a dude go to K-State and David Castillo. Like, you can't let that happen. So from this point on, you've got to lock down. They love the fact that Caden Cooper chose Oklahoma. They love the fact that Dayton Forsythe chose Oklahoma. Like, they said that was very important. But you got to get those other guys to stay. If you can, Parker, do you think there's a world like you can win every year? If you go get 3 guys in state, you can probably win a lot of games in the SEC and in college basketball in general, because the state of Oklahoma produces some really, really good basketball talent every year.
Yeah, I think
it's a very underrated state for basketball.
I think it depends on the year, but I would say in pretty much every single recruiting class, there is at least one guy from the state of Oklahoma. Sure. At least one guy that you can count on being a high impact, power conference type player.
Yeah. So, all right.
Some years there may be multiple. And when there are multiple, that's where you really want to capitalize. And here's what's also crucial is right now, you have a window of time where I think you can capitalize more so than you would otherwise be able to, because you look at the other programs in the state, not just Oklahoma State, but most prominently Oklahoma State, the turnover that they are enduring right now, having just fired Mike Boynton. It's going to take a little while for them to get back on track and for them to develop some juice on the recruiting trail. Tulsa is just kind of an also-ran right now. I mean, they had their day under Frank Haith a few years back. Oral Roberts, Paul Mills isn't there anymore. So you can be the flagship program in the sport of basketball for the state of Oklahoma at OU. But again, you have to keep winning. You have to sustain the success of this season, modest as that success may have been. And then you also just got to make sure that you're prioritizing in-state relationships and that you're making it very clear that the guys that can play within state lines are the guys that you are making the highest priority.
Yep. All right. You were at the Under Armour All-American in Houston. We're going to talk about that real quick, and then we're going to talk a little spring, and then we're going to get out of here. But what was your takeaway? Look, I was in Tulsa at the DR7, and it was unfortunate what happened to Sooner 7. C4 made a good run, a lot of talent. I'm telling you right now, Rylan Morris is a bad man. That is a bad man for C4. He is 2026 running back offer for Oklahoma. Looks like DeMarco, walks like DeMarco. Has the same game as DeMarco, and not quite as thick as DeMarco was, but man, he is going to be really, really good. And I guess, do we want to talk about the DeMarco Murray buzz? Is that worthy of conversation?
Let's bring it up because I know people will have questions. I think we're both on the same page, and we talked about
he's going to stay. I think
yesterday.
People are to say people aren't a little nervous would be a lie, but I think at the end of the day, as long as he gets his worth and stays one of the top highest paid running back coaches in college football, he will stay at Oklahoma because he loves the university. He's built an amazing room, but he's interviewed for, I spoke to so many people yesterday. He's interviewed for other NFL jobs. He's done it every year over the last few seasons. He's always going to be a name that's brought up because he's so well respected, not on the field and off the field and coaching. He's built that up. That's why Ohio State's coming after him. Everybody kind of sniffs around at him and he interviews all the time. I just feel like this time, if you're going to keep him, you've got to pay. And so I expect Joe C in Oklahoma to up the ante. And I wouldn't be shocked if he's around the 750K range by some point down the road. And I think that's what's going to ultimately keep him because he's got a room. I know he's going to have 2 really good running backs at Ohio State if he was to take that job, but he has like 7 at Oklahoma. Like it's deep, 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 deep. And he's built that already. And I think it would be really hard to walk away when you're set at your running backs room set to like 2028, right? Like you are set right now till 2028. So that's that to me, that's the interesting part of it. But I think ultimately he stays, Parker, just like you. But anyways, Rylan Morris, stud. Nate Roberts made some amazing plays. They lacked at quarterback, and I'm not hating on the kid. He just struggled a little bit. A Bixby's quarterback. I think it was Carson Kirby, and he struggled a little bit, a lot. He struggled a lot. Normally he's really good, but he struggled a lot this weekend. Deshaun Brain made some. I got really cool video and photo of him catching that I got to edit. He was amazing. Oklahoma's doing really, really well with both those guys, as you know, Parker. Trying to think, Mason James rolled his ankle and set out the whole tournament. He may not even travel with them for Battle Houston. He is going to take an unofficial to Texas A&M this weekend, so there is a chance that he just randomly shows up to Battle Houston for Sooner 7. So we'll see. But I think Oklahoma is always going to be the team to beat for Mason James. Trying to think who else was there. Yarborough looked really athletic. He's so big. Colton Yarborough, 2026. He's number 71 overall player in our new rivals rankings and that we just dropped today. He's really good. He's really big. Trying to think, the Golston brothers looked really good. I mean, there was so much talent there that when you look at it, I just Oklahoma's going to be all right. They're going to be all right because OK Preps is all right now. Like it's loaded. So, what was your overall thought of Under Armour? You talked to some pretty big names.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Look, I'll have some stuff on Jonathan Hatton up at OU Insider sometime this week. Suffice to say, that kid really is locked in with OU, which is cool, right? Because a lot of kids commit early for the clout and they'll enjoy it for a while. And then the luster will kind of wear off and then they're back to square one. But no,
again, makes it hard for DeMarco, right?
I mean, Jonathan Hatton is a kid that committed for all the right reasons, man. He's very mature. He gets it. And he's a freak show on the football field. Super stoked for what OU's getting in that kid. And now Tory Blaylock was there. He was competing. I will say this. He wouldn't acknowledge anything regarding DeMarco's Yamaha tweet on Saturday, but all the signs are there, Brandon. Yeah. All the signs are there. Kid couldn't even remember his whole top 6 when I talked to him. So that tells you where things are with that kid right now. I'm trying to think who else. Jonah Williams obviously was impressive. You'd expect nothing less from a 5-star. He kind of stole the show amongst the safety group. Cortland Guillory is somebody that I like more and more every time I see him. Really long for a cornerback. Really, really good frame. He's got solid size for a cornerback. He's right about 5'11", 6 feet, but super long arms, good athleticism. And he is somebody that Oklahoma is in very good shape with right now. I think that battle comes down to OU and Texas if I had to project it right now. So that's a recruitment to keep an eye on. The 4-star cornerback out of Spring, Texas. Keyshawn Henderson is a guy that is top 50 in the class of 2026 as of today. He likes OU a lot. He's a really, really, just got a really intriguing build. He's tall, he's lanky, but great speed, great overall athletic profile, spins a pretty good ball at the quarterback position. I don't think he ends up being a quarterback at the P4 level. I think he could, well, he maybe could, but his ceiling's much higher as a wide receiver. He's 6'4", probably about 170 right now. So as he continues to add weight, he's just going to be more and more of a mismatch. But really, really like the way that he is put together as a rising junior. Landon Rink, the 4-star defensive lineman in the class of 2025, is pretty much down to OU, A&M, Ohio State, and Penn State, the 4 schools that he's going to OV to. I kind of had the apprehension. I know you did too, Brandon. I think a lot of people did. Okay, like this is just going to be Colton Vasek all over again, right? Texas legacy, acts like he's high on all these other schools, and maybe he is for a while, but then at the end, it's Texas. It was always Texas. I don't get that sense with Landon Rink. I'm officially at the point where I'm like, yeah, I don't think he goes to Texas. And, just talking to not only him, but people around him, it's become clear to me that no, this kid just really it's not there with UT. They haven't made him a priority, and he wants to go somewhere where he feels the love. And right now, he feels the love at Oklahoma. He feels it at Texas A&M. I would say it's those 2 schools that are going to be battling it out down the stretch for him.
Interesting. Well, who do you favor? I favor Oklahoma for Rink right now.
I kind of favor OU too. And I think that's just because talking to some sources on the OU side, Todd Bates loves
he does.
Landon Rink.
Yes, he does.
And
I think go ahead.
I trust that as much love as Oklahoma shows him, that they're going to be the program that enters official visit season with the upper hand, and I think they'll be able to hold on to it because Bates is a relational guy. Rink seems to be a very relationally driven guy as well. I think that's evident in the way that he has handled this whole saga with Texas. He's like, look, they don't love me. I'm not going to love them back. It's that simple for him. And so with as hotly as Bates has pursued him, I do have to give the edge to Oklahoma, not to the point where I'm comfortable putting in a future cast, but I would say Oklahoma has the edge right now.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going to have a lot of information on OU Insider VIP. So if you're not a member, Parker and I will going to try to make it down to Houston Battle this weekend to see if we can't get some more information. There's going to be a lot of top kids from around the country there. So I'm going to try to make a trip down there. I don't know if you are too, Parker, but I think I'm going to try to make it down there. At least be there for Saturday. I'll try to be there just for Saturday because I got to be back up Sunday for my son's 7-on-7 practice. But yeah, by the way, I'm going to shout out Sooner 7. They won the DR7. It was pretty cool to see. They get to go play in the national title tournament next month because they won the tournament in Tulsa. They qualified for the national title tournament, free bid, all that type of stuff. So that's really, really cool. I think it's called like something like Road to the Crown or something like that. My son's been talking about it forever, but that's really, really cool for them. First tournament they won. So shout out to them, Sooner 7. Congratulations to that 12U squad. Anyways, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. If you're not a member of this YouTube channel, subscribe. We're going to have content, up-to-date, lives, all that type of stuff. Spring break. It doesn't matter. We're still going to be here for you guys. We're going to have everything covered for you. Also, Parker was very vague. I was very vague. There's notes on OU Insider VIP. There's team notes that Parker and I dropped over the last 72 hours. He dropped some. I've dropped some. A lot of spring notes. Hordes and hordes of spring notes, actually. VIP, insider stuff. Who shined over the first 3 practices. All that good stuff. It's on OU Insider VIP. We've got it for you. Up to date, nonstop. So go sign up, $9.95 a month, or $99.95 will get you a whole year. We would love to have you over there. All right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. For Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed day.